Hello, my sewing friends. My name's Diana. Welcome to my channel, The Wandering Sewist. Today is another edition of #FridaySews. Friday Sews is where we talk a little bit about sewing and a little bit about life. So let's talk about sewing first. I have some video for you on my son's finished Marlin Backpack from Sew Sweetness and video on my finished Vogue 1672 dress, and I will insert that footage right now. So here's Sam's backpack. I just finished it. There's all of the cute little toucans. I enlarged the side pockets so that they would be able to hold more. And I used a bigger, sturdier zipper tape. So that gave me some big giant zipper pulls. And then I used this webbing for the straps. So it is all done and ready for Sam to start school. Hi, this is Diana, and many of you wanted an update on what I did about the super low cut front of the crossover top to the Vogue 1672. So I started out with just a hand stitching a ladder stitch, and then I put it on, and it just wasn't enough to keep it closed here because maybe I need a full bust adjustment. Good thing the fabric is a little bit stretchy. So then I just took it to my machine, and I just top stitched all the way from the crossover until it was where I felt comfortable. So now it's closed with the top stitching. There's no gaps. You can see the pulling. So I suspect that here's the dart. There's the side panel. Here's the dart. And my bust apex is more here. So I suspect that I need a full bust adjustment for making this pattern again. It's a good thing this fabric's has a little stretch to it, because that's the only reason I think that this is gonna work at all. I still have the bumpy zipper in the back. I don't think there's anything I can do about that. And the skirt has started to drop on the bias, but I'm gonna give it a few more days before I hem it. I did hem the sleeves. I just did a scant 1/4 of an inch, very small hem, folded it over twice. So everything is done except for the hem. Hello, my sewing friends. I just wanted to show you my finished dress, finally done, Vogue 1672, and some of the changes that I had to make. So one of the changes I had to make, I'm gonna step back so you can see, is I had to sew shut the bodice for the crossover. The crossover starts down here and it goes all the way across here. All this was open. So it does make it tight across my bust, but I feel much better with the coverage. Now, I had a lot of suggestions from all of my wonderful subscribers about making a modesty panel, but not sewing it shut because it would be tight across the bust. And I couldn't do that because I didn't have any scraps of fabric big enough left. And I had already tossed them out into the trash, and they had gone off to the dump. So I couldn't do that. And then I had some other people suggest that I get a contrasting fabric and just make a panel to put in here, but not sew it shut. And I decided against that because this is just a toile. I didn't plan on this being a fancy dress to go to church or any occasions or anything in. So it's just a toile. This is toile fabric. And if it's a little tight across the bust, it's really no big deal to me. So the other thing I did is I finished the hem. The back is still ripply. If I pull it down like this, If I pull it down, it's not so bad, but it's still ripply. So I do need to do a sway back adjustment. And one of my lovely subscribers suggested that I interface the edges of the fabric there along where I'm going to sew in the zipper, the seam allowance, with some light interfacing just to stop the zipper from causing a ripple, because that fabric is cut on the bias. So it does need to be stabilized. I didn't think of that. It wasn't in the pattern instructions. And the last thing I did is I finished the hem. Now I did let this dress hang for nearly 10 days and it did drop on the bias, and I wound up having to trim down. So the way I did it is I laid the dress on my ironing board and I just put it over the ironing board with the waistband at the end. And then I just measured from the waistband down to the edge of the skirt, 32 inches. And I just, everywhere I marked with a pen, since I was going to cut it off anyway, I marked with a regular ink pen at 32 inches all the way around the skirt. And then I just took my rotary cutter and my ruler and just cut all that off. And then I made some bias binding, and I used bias binding to hem the edge. So I sewed in the bias binding right sides together with my machine first, and then I folded it over twice to the inside, and then I just hand stitched it down all the way around. So I thought that would be better than the pattern instructions, which said to run a gathering stitch around and pull up the gathering stitch as you fold it over to ease in the fullness, because it is a round hem. It's a curved hem. And I didn't want to do that. I just made some bias tape and did bias binding, and it was so much easier. So yes, it is finished. I am going to insert footage turned vertically so that you can see the entire dress. So I'm going to insert that now. So here you can see my completely finished dress. I love the fullness of the skirt and how swishy it is. It just is so feminine and pretty. I really love the skirt a lot. You see where I sewed the bodice shut across the crossover. And notice the pleat at the top of the sleeve. That's actually dart that you sew into the sleeve head. And there's the back. You can see the wobbly zipper in the back. Nothing can be done about that. There you go, done. So I ran into a problem this last weekend with my trip to the Netherlands and Belgium with this backpack that I had made, my Marlin Backpack, that I will link in the cards above and in the description box below the video of my Marlin Backpack collaboration with Joy. Apparently I had not secured my stitches well enough, and the entire back panel, this whole back, all across the bottom and all up one side, came completely off. Now I did have some heavy things in here. I had some food, I had a water bottle, I had a journal and a couple of books, and it was pretty heavy, and I guess it was just too much for my not so thorough stitching. So it did come off. So to fix that, what I did is I took the inside pocket and I just opened up the seam here, the inside pocket seam. I just used my seam ripper, opened it up, and I reached through and I pulled the backpack wrong side out again. And then I re-put the back panel, clipped it back on with the Wonder clips, and then I went to my machine and I sewed it. And then I went in the seam allowance and sewed it a second time. So then now there's 2 rows of stitching all the way around. Then I put the pocket on the machine and sewed the pocket shut again. and that fixed the problem. So one of the nice things about knowing how your bags are made and making them yourself is that if something goes wrong with the bag, you know how to fix it. So like, for example, I know how to put the zippers on now, the zipper pulls on now. So if something happens with the zipper pull, I know how to put it back on. If a seam comes apart, I know how to fix it. So it was not good that it came apart, but it was good that I knew how to fix it. As you can see, I went away for the weekend, and there was no Friday Sews last week because I was on the road to Belgium and the Netherlands last weekend, and we were doing family things, spending family time. And it was a wonderful weekend. We had a beautiful church service and spent time with our friends. And the Airbnb we stayed in Liège, Belgium was not great. It was half the price of staying in a hotel, and there's a reason why. It wasn't in a very good part of town, and it wasn't a great Airbnb. So, but we managed. We definitely have a make do, get by kind of attitude here in the Wandering Sewist household. So you make do with what you have, and you get by and move on to the next thing. So yes, that was the weekend. Let's talk a little bit more about sewing. So as you know, I need to finish a dress for my son's wedding next weekend. It's only next weekend, 1 week away. So I have had this beautiful pink linen fabric with embroidery on it that I got in London for several months, and I have been trying for months different dress patterns, trying to find just the right pattern for this dress, and I just haven't been able to find the exact fit that I wanted. So I have decided to use the Upton dress bodice and then cut a circle skirt from the rest of the fabric. And I do have 6 meters of fabric. So the bodice pieces don't really take up that much, maybe a third of a meter, so maybe 30 centimeters or so. And then there'll be the sleeves and then the waistband. So maybe I will use just shy of a meter of fabric for those pieces, which will leave me with 5 meters-ish for the circle skirt. And the bodice pieces, I have pinned them onto my fabric, and I'll insert some footage right now of that. So here are the bodice pieces that I'm starting to get ready to cut on my beautiful linen fabric from London. This is the embroidered linen fabric. And so, and these are the bodice pieces from the Upton dress. That's the back bodice. And that's the front bodice right there. Yeah, and I'm afraid. The bodice pieces have been pinned onto my fabric, ready to be cut out, and it's been sitting there for 2 days. And I have realized that the reason this is happening is because I am scared. I am scared of cutting the fabric into this that I've decided to do. I'm afraid that it's a mistake. This was expensive fabric, and so I'm scared to make the cut. And if I don't hurry up and get going on it, then I will not have a finished dress to take with me when we leave next Thursday. I only have a week to finish, and I don't have a lot of sewing time each day. I'm going to have to really push it hard to finish the dress in time. So, I'm very, very nervous about this. Very nervous. I'm scared to cut the fabric. I'm nervous about not being able to finish. So, I would appreciate all of the good advice, all of the good vibes, and whew, whew, it's giving me anxiety just thinking about it. I'm happy that I have a backup dress in the pink maxi dress that I made a couple of months ago is my backup plan. I also have my pink polka dotted Upton dress that I made with the princess seams and the pleated skirt that could also act as a backup, but that is a more upscale kind of a fabric. It's more of a satin type of fabric, which would be more in line with a wedding. But it's a daytime wedding in a garden, so I think my flowered maxi dress with the flutter sleeves will be perfect. I am the mother of the groom, and my daughter is a bridesmaid, and my son-in-law is the best man. I was feeling some pressure when my daughter showed me her dress. I felt some pressure because she's wearing a formal gown. And so I was feeling some pressure about dressing more formal. But my son tells me, my son, who is the groom, tells me that this is not a formal wedding. It's more casual. So I'm going to bring my backup dress just in case this dress doesn't work. That's the plan. I might even bring both backup dresses just in case. So no matter what, I'm going to be wearing pink because all three dresses are pink. So the wedding colors is blue and purple, and I do not look good in blue or purple. So I can't wear either one of those colors. All right, now let's move officially to life, although I have been sprinkling life in a little bit here and there, but let's move officially to life. For life, it's been 2 weeks since I talked to you last. We took, as I said before, a road trip for Labor Day weekend to Liège, Belgium, and Maastricht, Netherlands. They're very close to each other. In Europe, borders don't really mean a lot, and countries are small, so you can get from one country to another. I mean, we drove in like Belgium, Germany, and the Netherlands, all within, an hour of each other. So it's all really close. So we stayed in an Airbnb in Liège, Belgium, in a poor part of town that was very it had a lot of, it was an immigrant part of town, and so the plus side of that is the restaurants were amazing, and they had these open street markets with a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables and spices. That was amazing because it was like a Middle Eastern community. On the downside is the building we stayed in was kind of run down and not the best. But, nothing's ever perfect. So we made do and we got through the weekend. We didn't spend all that much time at our Airbnb. It was only just for sleeping and showering. And then we were gone the rest of the time, spending time with our friends who were staying at a hotel in Maastricht in the Netherlands. So it turned out to be just fine. It was just fine. So we came back Sunday evening, and then the boys started school on Monday. It's been amazing to have them back in school. So the days are back to getting back to my routine, getting back into my morning routine of doing a 5-kilometer walk, which is about 3.5 miles, 3 miles plus a little bit every morning. I'm trying to get that in every day. And then I spend time doing housewifey things. And I have my appointments for the kids scheduled where I have to go pick them up and go do their things in the afternoons. And then I have my sewing time a little bit in the evenings. So hopefully we'll get back into the groove of things. Now I am recording this on Thursday, and you will see this on Friday for Friday Sews. But a week from today, next Thursday, we will be traveling from Prague, Czech Republic, to the United States. We're going to fly into Seattle, into SeaTac Airport on Thursday. So we'll be flying probably overnight and then arrive Friday morning in Seattle. And then we will rent a car and drive out to the Key Peninsula area. It's a Pascagoula Harbor area off of in the west of Seattle. So we'll be going there for my son's wedding. And then his wedding will be on Saturday the 14th. And then we will be flying home back to Prague on Sunday the 15th. Unfortunately, we can't make our stay in the States any longer than that. I wish we could, because it's very expensive to fly to America. I would like to make the best of the trip, but we just don't have the time because the kids are in school. So we have to get right back so the kids can get back to school on Monday the 16th. So this next week's Friday will probably not be too much of a Friday Sews, unless I just include some of my travel from Czech Republic to the Seattle, Washington area. And then I will try to take photos and do some video of the wedding venue and the place, everything like that. But there won't be any sewing unless I magically, by the grace of God, finish this dress, which I'm highly, highly doubtful will happen. I'm really, really doubting if I even want to cut into the linen fabric. The more I think about it, the more I think, no, I'm not ready to cut into it. Is that bad? Okay. So if you know me at all, you know that I have trouble making decisions. It's one of my biggest weaknesses. I have trouble making decisions, and I have trouble with sticking with the decision. And I have a lot of anxiety about making the wrong decision and then having to live with it forever. So I am really, really hesitant to cut this fabric. I may not do it. I haven't made up my mind 100%, but the more I think about it, the more I think I'm not ready to cut the fabric. The more I think perhaps I want to make another toile and practice putting a circle skirt onto this Upton dress bodice with a less precious fabric. Make sure that it works. And make sure, because when I made the Upton dress before, there was a little bit of sagging around the bust darts. Now that could have been because the fabric was stretchy, that the exterior fabric was stretchy, but the lining fabric was tight and had zero stretch. It was a cotton lining fabric and it was a polyester, slightly stretchy exterior. Because when I put the dress on, the lining fabric has no sag. The sag is only in the exterior fabric. So I think what I need to do then is I need to make this again and use lining that's the same or similar amount of weight and texture and stretch as the exterior. So make sure the exterior and the lining are the same before I commit to this bodice for this fabric. Either that or take the Vogue 1672, do all of the changes to the bodice that I want to do. The changes to the bodice include a sway back adjustment, a full bust adjustment, lowering the darts, and increasing the amount of coverage for the crossover. So I would want to move the crossover up about 5 inches. So the crossover, as of right now, it hits me below the start of my bra. So my bra shows through the crossover. So I want to move that crossover up a full hand. So about 5 inches. So I will need to change the way that the fabric piece that goes like this, change the shape that goes across here. And that will require some experimentation, a couple of just bodice only toiles perhaps, and then toiling it, the finished thing again, and seeing if I can get the zipper to not do the thing. However, I was watching Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room, and she said you don't have to put a zipper in everything. Sometimes you can just leave it open a little bit and just put a little keyhole there, or like a little loop with a little button or a snap, and just leaving a keyhole opening just down, 3-4 inches, just that much, just so you can get your head through. You don't have to have a zipper. Now, for the Vogue 1672 dress, since the back bodice is cut on the bias, it gives. It has some give in there to get it down over your bust. Most of the time when I put that dress on, I don't unzip it. I just was pulling it down over my bust. And I unzipped it maybe that much, just to get my head and my arms in, and then pulled it down over and then just reached over and zipped up the... I may just leave out the zipper completely and just do a keyhole opening in the back. I might also do that for this Upton dress because of the V-neck. It's really easy to get over my head. So there we are, back to sewing again. I hope that all of this makes sense to you. That is everything I had to share with you for Friday Sews this week. I hope you all enjoy your fabulous weekend. And if I don't see you next weekend, please know that it's not because I have forgotten you. It's just because I'm traveling to the United States and back in one weekend from Central Europe. It's a long way. It's a 10 hour, no, it's 2 10-hour flights. So just bear with me. I will be back with you just as soon as I possibly can, sharing everything that we did and all of our experiences. So I hope you have a fabulous weekend and the week ahead, and make time to make something, create something beautiful. Bye.